Welcome back to Embracing New Life, the podcast that seeks to stand at the intersections of conversations on mental health and the church or faith. And we want to thank you and welcome you to this episode, which is part 2 of our interview with Amber Wirth. If you haven't heard part 1, we'd encourage you to go back to last week's episode and reference that before listening to this. But if you have, then welcome back and thanks for being with us. So without any further ado, here is part 2 of our interview with Amber Wirth.
University had their very first adult human service adult program that I was able to work and go to school full time.
Very cool.
So through this, again, I loved it. Took all of it, to my heart. And through it, learned a lot about myself. But there was... The founder of it was this lady named Carla Dahl. And Carla Dahl was mainly a professor through the whole thing. And the way that she would talk about systemic theories in family therapy, I was like, that's what I want. I didn't even know it existed. But naming it was like, that's me. And the way that Carla Dahl talked about self-differentiation, and she would implement that even in my bachelor degree, classes of like, how do we hold ourselves well? How do we breathe and stay in the room? And so then I just went straight through to the seminary, marriage and family therapy, seminary program, which Carla Dahl actually was the founder of it. It was such an interesting perspective because when you're in the Masters of Divinity in seminary, it was unheard of to have marriage and family therapy integrated into the seminary with the MDiv. But Carla Dahl saw this as this got to be essential. This faith integration and family systemic theories is so powerful in understanding who we are and how to provide the faith integration. And so, again, loved it, took it, went straight through the master's program. And so, it was hard. Again, but this whole time I'm thinking, I don't know if I could do this. My gosh, a master's degree? That's not for me. And then it was okay, it was really hard to get in because you had to do a bunch of oral interviews. Then you had to do group interviews, and then you had to do a whole application process. And so I don't know if I'm going to get in. It's always like this, oh my goodness. So I'm always proud of myself for taking the next step and getting in, and getting through it, And then even growing up, I never really thought I was really smart reading the Bible, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so bad at this. I wasn't really good at memorization, but it wasn't even about that. It was about, theology integrated into hermeneutics and the cultural perspective of who, when, what, where, how, and why, into how do we also integrate this beautiful story in the Bible to apply it that is relevant through theory now. And so it was literally ongoing and how to do this, which was I think that was the biggest thing that stretched me. And it was always at every single syllabus, I was integration paper. But I understand why, it wasn't how to be a Christian counselor. It was how do I understand faith integration within context, within the healing concepts, within cultural context. It was way more than that, what I thought. So, I loved seminary. It was really powerful to, learn about African American theology and Native American theology. Feminist theology, all this stuff was so profoundly beautiful. So anyway, took that, ended up graduating, and ended up doing in-home marriage and family therapy with families. in the Twin Cities, all over the place. And they said during the internship, it was like, if you can do it in home, you're going to be all right.
Oh, yes.
Because these are all mostly mandated cases, hard cases from the state. I'm like, all right, here we go, Lord. Kind of like taking me back to the time where I was like, okay, I'm going to work with people with disabilities. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Ended up loving it. super getting stretched. But again, it's like when I look back, I was working with Somali families, undocumented immigrant families, African American family. I mean, it was just so wonderful that I'm like, if I didn't do this stuff before, I would have a really hard time. But because I did behavioral therapy, it was like God gave me these beautiful grounding steps. Boop, 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 boop. And so then ended up, moving back to Wisconsin, being by my family again. And then you guys ended up hiring me here.
Yes, we did.
First time being in private practice. My ultimate goal was to be in private practice. So it was like a dream come true.
Well, it's so rewarding and helpful looking at our lives to see how this prepared for that, for this, that this master weaver has taken all these pieces to get us where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So that's sort of my encapsulated journey.
And so,
15 minutes.
and currently, professionally, you are a licensed marriage and family therapist. And that's probably the least understood of the mental health professions. What is a licensed marriage and family therapist?
Well, I think the reason why it's sort of misunderstood is because it's newer.
Yes.
So, I think that, there's some states that have a little bit more progressiveness as far as education and what that means for mental health. And so, marriage and family therapy sort of originated in the 50s, but didn't really take off until the 70s. Because what it essentially is people who worked with Freudian said, okay, I get that there's symptoms in the individual, and we're going to apply it to the individual. But then there was some of his colleagues that were like, but when they're when they're having conversations and they're having transactional sort of relational things, it alters their sense of self. Like there is a very incline or decline of symptoms from understanding the patterns of the family behaviors and the way that they're communicating and the way that they're interacting with each other. So they took this and said, there's got to be something to that. And Alfred Adler was one of the main guys that kind of said, like, here's a whole thing where it's like the client now is the family.
Yes.
So we see it as symptoms, and we're seeing the symptoms of the family. I mean, we're also seeing that there's symptoms, in the individual. We're looking at it as a transactional, relational issue. And so some of the theories that really took off were really from some of the studies that came from the schizophrenia studies that showed massive improvement was due to the positive relationship from the mother and the family's way that was. And so a lot of the theories came from obviously some psychoanalytic theory. And there's three main, huge things that come: the transgenerational models. And these models are really looking systemically from like a very like genogram perspective. Some of them are classical models, which is honing into how do we behaviorally change with these type of tools. And some of them are other ones that are kind of on their own. Either way, there's a lot of looking systemically on how the structure is in the family, how the communication styles are, how the cultural context is. And so I became fascinated with understanding like structural boundaries and genograms, and because I think that has fascinated me, I see how implementing some of these theories are really helpful to my kiddos and my parents. I mean, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
And so what is a genogram?
a genogram is a tool that we use to identify people in our family unit. And if you want to go a little bit beyond that, you can see where you can sort of identify while you investigate your family of what your family sort of looks like as a whole on a piece of paper. And you can see symptoms through the generations when you put in like, okay, and what we do is we put, okay, this person had alcoholism, this person you see the patterns when you are writing in a genogram. And you can learn a lot about it. And so I think there's a lot of insight that can come from writing one.
Yeah, so we can look at 3 or 4 generations and see the various patterns across generations.
And you can also see relational patterns.
Totally.
Yes.
So if there's one of the biggest things is like, where's their rigidity? Where's their cutoff? Where is their enmeshment? And so that provides a lot of education as far as like why our symptoms could come out.
Totally.
Yes. And so here we're describing patterns. It's not a judgment. And in describing, options start to open up. So when someone learns that you're an LMFT, they may ask, well, is that the same as a counselor?
I guess I hadn't really thought about that question before. I think that counselor is a general term.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I suppose in different contexts they say to, let's just say my kids at school, right? When I'm providing therapy there. But they're like, who are you? I'm like, well, I'm the counselor here. Because they just don't really know what therapist means. And sometimes I think therapist is a scary term for some people.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Or they're expecting physical therapy or something like that. Which can be scary, but that's another story. So an LMFT provides counseling, and you have this broad perspective of systems or the interrelatedness of people and how we impact and are impacted by the systems that we live in. Yeah. In your work here, who do you tend to work? What type of situations do you tend to find yourself involved with?
I mostly work with kids, adolescents, and young, teens and young adults. And I am passionate about this because I think some of the things that I really am passionate about, one is boundaries.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that, to me, boundaries is an everyday lifestyle. It's an ongoing healing journey for all of us to understand internal and external boundaries.
Yes.
When I'm working with a kiddo that comes in with their symptoms, I'm looking for what types of boundaries are enmeshed, which ones are rigid, where does there need to be gentle structure implemented, where can we reinforce things that are being done well. And so some of the tools that I really use a lot, well, I do it contextually is on the kiddo, obviously, but I really like to see as a whole how I can partner with the parents, how I can reinforce highly the parents, and how I can really model to them how to reinforce their children well, and how to follow through well. And when I'm describing to parents boundaries, it's sometimes really scary for them. And so what I do is I tap a little bit into, what are you scared of?
Yeah.
And tell me why. And a lot of it is because of their own shame, because of their own fears, their own anxiety. And so some of that is a beautiful process of understanding the parent, honoring and uplifting them to be able to say, you got this. On top of that, you're a phenomenal parent. Here's some tweaks here and there, but let me show you. I'm going to model to you. So I'll do that during the session. I'll play with the kiddo, and I'll follow through. I'll say, for an example, let's use this, okay? And like, we don't have to be afraid. In this moment, we are monitoring ourselves well in the midst of the other.
Yes.
So I teach the parents too to notice internally what they're experiencing, and they'll name it to me. I say, "Where do you feel in your body?" Is the kids while the kid's having a temper tantrum, I'm like, "Tell me what you're noticing in yourself." Well, I'm really scared. Tell me what you're scared of. And I'm like, "You're doing well, right?" Like I'm reinforcing as well. And so during this beautiful sort of dance and session is where I'm modeling follow through. So I'm like, it's a progress. It's a process. It's not going to take overnight. I mean, so it's like every time they come in there, they're understanding, oh, this is clicking. This is clicking. I'm like, I want you to do this. I'm going to have homework. I'm going to have you take this home. And I give them very crucial contextual examples that are relevant and that are realistic. And we work our way up.
We hope you enjoyed part 2 of our interview with Amber Wirth. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and like our episodes. Leave a review if possible, and stay tuned for next Monday for part 3 of our interview with Amber Wirth to be released. And then on the heels of that Friday, we'll have our full episode Friday, where we'll release the full unedited version of our interview with Amber Wirth so that you can listen to it in its entirety. But until we see you again, have a great week. Thanks for joining us, and take care. Embracing New Life is a production of New Life Resources, a Christian counseling clinic in southeast Wisconsin, whose aim and goal since 1976 has been to provide high-quality professional counseling, psychological, and consulting services from within a Christian framework.